If you've been online, in an office, or pretty much just alive over the past year or so, you have definitely heard the conversation about AI. And it is a heated one, right? It splits almost everyone into two really extreme camps. In this explainer, we're going to talk about why those hot takes might have a lot more in common with ancient prophecies than with any kind of rational analysis.
Okay, let's just get right into the core argument here. The reason the whole debate over AI feels so much like a holy war, between angels and demons, is because structurally it kinda is one. The common arguments for AI salvation versus AI damnation, they're not really based on technical projections. They're based on faith.
And you know these two sides, right? On one hand, you've got the rapture crowd. They're preaching this gospel of inevitable abundance where work is a thing of the past and post-scarcity is just around the corner. And on the other side, you've got the apocalypse cult, warning about mass unemployment, social collapse, and humanity just becoming totally obsolete. They can't stand each other, but what if I told you they're basically reading from the same script? Because they are. Seriously. Even though their conclusions are polar opposites, both the utopians and the dystopians are building their arguments on the exact same narrative foundation. And it's a foundation that has almost nothing to do with technology and, well, everything to do with theology.
So, what is this shared structure? Just think about it for a second. Both sides tell a story that goes something like this. First, a powerful new force, in this case AI, is unleashed on the world. Second, humanity hits a point of no return. Third, history just accelerates like crazy. And fourth, a single absolute outcome follows. It's either heaven or it's hell. This isn't how technology gets adopted. This is how religious prophecies work.
And here's the real kicker. If you swap out the term artificial general intelligence for Judgment Day, the narrative feels almost identical. Suddenly there's an awakening for the people who see the truth, a reckoning for anyone who's unprepared, and this huge mass of unbelievers who are all going to be left behind. It's a prophecy, plain and simple.
All right, so for any of these prophecies to actually hold up, you have to accept a few core assumptions. And the biggest one, by far, is all about the relationship between intelligence and power. So let me just ask you this. Does being the smartest person, or, the smartest thing, in the room automatically put you in charge? Because the entire premise of an AI-driven heaven or hell rests on the answer to that question being a loud yes. But is that really true? Not even close. History is basically a graveyard of brilliant ideas that were completely ignored. We have centuries of evidence showing accurate predictions being dismissed out of hand, and smarter tools being totally misused by dumber but more powerful human systems. Intelligence by itself, it doesn't grant you much of anything.
So where does power actually come from? Well, real-world power flows through these messy, slow, incredibly complicated human institutions. And those institutions, corporations, governments, universities, they are not designed for radical, frictionless change. They're designed for stability. And that is where these grand AI prophecies go to meet a very slow, bureaucratic end. And this brings us to the single biggest reality check on any extreme AI prediction. It's called the human bottleneck. Because every single inevitable outcome you can possibly imagine has to first pass through the most inefficient, unpredictable filter in the universe, us.
I mean, think about it. AI doesn't just deploy itself. It doesn't get its own budget. It has to be approved by committees, it has to be vetted by compliance, and it has to somehow navigate the absolute minefield of human fear, ego, and office politics. Any AI take that just assumes a smooth, frictionless rollout isn't really a prediction. It's a belief in America.
And here's the really cool kind of beautiful insight that most people miss. That human friction, that bureaucratic bottleneck, it doesn't just stop one outcome. It stops both of them. The very same things that will prevent AI from instantly creating some work-free utopia are the exact same things that will prevent it from unleashing a job apocalypse.
Let's just break down how this works for a sec. Is AI hard to integrate into existing systems? Yep. So that slows down both rapid job replacement and rapid utopia building. Does it need supervision? Absolutely, which limits its autonomy for both destruction and creation. The point is, it depends on us, so it inherits our limits. You don't get heaven or hell when you have to go through a human bottleneck. You get compromise. You get, well, reality.
So why are these huge religious-style narratives so popular then? Well, it's because they offer a really compelling alternative to the much more boring, rational reality. They offer us destiny instead of responsibility.
There's actually a term for this, psychological outsourcing. It's the belief that because an outcome is inevitable, whether it's good or bad, you're let off the hook.
nothing you do really matters. It lets you feel informed and passionate about the topic without actually having to build or manage or adapt to anything. It's kind of a way of checking out of the hard work.
So, what does a non-religious, rational take on AI actually look like? Well, honestly, it's a little boring, which is probably why it doesn't make for great headlines. Productivity will go up, but it's going to be really uneven. Some jobs will vanish, sure, but most will just change. The real power will shift to the people who do the hard work of redesigning workflows, and adoption will always lag way behind capability. There's no rapture, there's no apocalypse, there's just work.
So at the end of the day, the biggest takeaway is this. AI isn't a god coming to save us, and it isn't a demon coming to destroy us. It is not destiny. It is a profoundly powerful tool, and its ultimate impact won't be shaped by its own intelligence, but by the messy, brilliant, flawed, and deeply human systems it has to operate within.
And maybe the best way to think about it is this. The faucet of incredible technological potential is on full blast right now, but we're the ones holding the hose, and we will inevitably, accidentally, and constantly kink it. Not out of malice, but just because that's what people do.